this harmless, inoffensive, cheap plastic toy, because that's what gaming was supposed to be.
Right.
But yeah, the PlayStation, it was very sleek. It had a very slim line.
It's very designed. You could tell like a lot of effort went
But
into
it also
design.
it had a certain physical solidity about it. When you pressed the button for the lid to go up, it kind of slowly rose up. It didn't just snap open like the Sega CD did. It was a very carefully machined system.
And as much as we all hated the controller because the D-pad was terrible.
Oh god, it was made for Munchkins from Oz. That thing was microscopic.
I hated that thing at first, and eventually years later learned to like be okay with it. But it was very unique, and you could just tell like they put a lot of effort into making PlayStation a new thing, and like rebranding video game and making it like not embarrassing for an 18-year-old dude to have this in his room.
It seems like they were growing up a lot with the audience.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the PlayStation's whole selling point was, Nintendo was content to continue mining the youth market, but Sony kind of realized, all these kids that had NESs back in 1988, they're not kids anymore. They're adults. They're in college. They have children. Whatever. Let's market to them. Let's cater to them.
Yeah, everybody had one of those things at college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that was, Nintendo was just kind of the catch-all Xerox type word for video gaming back in the 80s. But once PlayStation came out, PlayStation, you play PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the same thing with the PSP, though. I mean, if you're looking at handheld systems, they're like, oh, no, here's the, God forbid, sexy new handheld for the older gamer. And, it's the same sort of tactic.
Although it kind of backfired because DS Lite became even like sexier. And
it is
cooler,
totally sexy.
Sexier and more practical.
Yes.
More practical.
That also
saying that word.
I know. I'm sorry. I did that.
Sleek, personally.
I like sleek.
I can say sleek without embarrassment.
Sleek's good.
But
so is like sexy synonymous with more likely to show fingerprints?
It's stabbing in the head. That's what sexy is synonymous with. Talk about gaming.
In terms of technology, the PlayStation had a little benefit because when it first came out, those games like Ridge Racer and Toshinden, they did look better than what you were seeing on Saturn for the most part. And I was a huge Saturn fan. I bought a Saturn on day one. I love my Saturn.
Yeah.
But when I saw how Ridge Racer ran, when I saw like games like Jumping Flash and Wipeout, I was like, wow, this is pretty effortlessly doing 3D more effectively than my Saturn. And from that early point, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. As much as I love Sega, as much as I love Saturn, they didn't really have a chance.
Yeah, I ended up owning far less Saturn games than I did PlayStation games.
And it made me sad because I didn't want Sony to come in and kill, but they did. I mean,
well, some of that was suicide on Sega's part.
Well, poor decisions.
Sega of America did not understand the market.
When did Sega make a good decision after 1995?
Oh, Dreamcast was a great decision. Everything about Dreamcast worked well. It was kind of too little, too late. PlayStation had already kind of rebranded gaming, and there wasn't really that much place for Sega, no matter how many cool games they invented.
Yeah, and they did
Not
a
enough
really
Madden.
good job.
But in terms of PS1, I